It's basically the witching hour. I drank some wine and went to sleep, and now I'm up and had a cup of coffee. We got like some heartburn, maybe, you know. But I suppose I'm gonna write another email. It's like why I'm making. I was writing one, but I was too drunk. I couldn't focus on it. And that would have been the third one for yesterday. I suppose this will be the first one for today. I shouldn't have to justify, right, who I am as a psychic to, right, get laid. Right? Like if a woman wants to spend time with me, like that's the end of that formula, you know? Unless you're a fucking creep, right? He's not their father. He's not their husband, right? He couldn't stand the thought of them speaking candidly about him, I guess. It was like his fear. I don't know. Like why he would be so opposed. Why he would not just let them go. It's not magic at all. He's done. He lost all his magic. It's all gone. He has no magic. He has no esoteric light. Right? You deny anything in that way. Right? This is the point, right? And this is, right, like, does he have a therapist, right? Like, is he, like, talking about these things, you know? That I've been showing him a new way to live. Right? And so a true master, right, fosters and supports, right, healthy decisions, right? Right? That it's only because of him that they think of yucky things, right? That they saw me and saw Radiant Angel and said, we want to speak to him. And he put them in a cage, just like Daniela. He started treating them like he treats Daniela. Because, right, he's debased them for years and is terrified that they'll tell me everything. That's the point. So he set up this elaborate system so that, like, I'll think about that and think about the money and, right, you get it? And then feel that he has control over my mind, right? And I know that the women the whole time were like, we can get out from under Quentin with this guy. And I didn't and this is something that I'm only realizing now. That of course, like, right, that I came into his mind through the women. So he treats me the way he treats the women, right? Right? Fan clubs, fan accounts. That was like the thought that I had earlier. I will say that. I had the thought of like finding a Sydney Sweeney like fan club, finding all the Sydney Sweeney fan clubs. Right? Yeah, all the Mikey Madison fan clubs. Saying, right, who runs this joint? How do you know her? How close are you? Right? This is my number. Please give it to her. Right? So we say that the psychic mind game is an expression of your conscious intention upon the universe. Right? That Quentin does everything that he does as a result of being addicted to it. Right? That you can, right? Especially if you're close to someone. Right? Like if you spend a lot of time with someone, you can like close your eyes and just think about them really hard, right? And then they probably will call you. You get it? Right? And so this is how he treats everyone. Because he's broken. Because he's actually deeply ill. And so he has exacted, this sexual sadism upon these women all this time, tying them up, right? Dominating them, right? Creating, right? Diseased psyches in all of them. That's the point, right? And so he tried to cast his schizophrenic spell over me. That's the point, right? In the same way that he, right, to where it's like a fog of control and, right? And this is my point when I say like a snot cloud. It's like this kind of yucky thing, It's like, oh, I create like this cage, this box, right? This Kaaba, Right? And everything within this I control. Because, like, I created it. And I think that that's a deep manipulation that I don't like, that I don't foster, I don't support. I should have done it to get laid, right? I want them, if that's like what they want, like, yeah, like I want that too, of course. Right? But I shouldn't have to divine. That's the point, right? It doesn't make me less of a man to not help you cast your spells over my mind. It's my mind. Right? That I don't need you to show me that you're psychic. I need you to show me that you're decent. That's the point, isn't it? Right? And so it does seem pretty obvious that those women immediately were like, no, I don't accept that. Like, I don't accept that that's the end of the discussion, because we never got to speak to him. He doesn't like your mind games. We don't like your mind games. We think he's fine. We think he justifies the movie. If you don't want to speak to him, we don't want to do the movie. Right? He's shown us. Like, yeah, that's like what I'm saying. That everyone who's been like under his control, like perhaps there's a couple more women that I don't know about. Right? Ellie Fanning, Maya Hawke, you know. That they're all like Margot Robbie. That they're all kind of like reassessing how he treats them. How unmagic and uncool it is. Right? I'm not saying he doesn't have the right to do it. But what I am saying is that, number one, the moment you denied them the right to come to me, right, you aborted all the magic. That's it. If they were sincere, gotta trust that. Gotta say, okay, you go talk to him. You tell me what you think. Right? That's the real point. Right? I know that AMC Theater, Sony Pictures, like all these people, right, anyone who's seen the film, right, they are wondering, like, is this an actual rape that I'm watching? That's the point. Right? And so, right, it's pretty obvious, right? Only if you respect, right, the psychic mind game that Quentin loves to play. Right? I divine with my clairvoyance that he's deeply sick, he's deeply ill, and has a disgusting, diseased snot cloud of intention hovering over show business. Right? It's time to drain it. It's time to just like flush that out, like into the ocean. Right? And let everybody just like chill. Right? Right? The real point that I'm making, right, is that it was okay, right, as far as whatever he had going on, right? But when he made Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right, he went off the deep end, right? That's the point. That's the point, that he manipulated these women into like acquiring possession of them, not into loving him. That's never what occurred, and maybe they're only seeing it now. Because they see someone behaving in the world like as a psychic, as a clairvoyant, who is dismissive of those manipulative tactics that define their relationship with Quentin. Right? That everyone around him, being ignorant to the scope of his design, right? The nature of his tactics, right? They've just all submitted. They don't consider it intellectually. They don't consider it spiritually or emotionally. Right? But the women, right? Daniela, was it 2017? 9 years, right? 2018, when they shot Once Upon a Time. 8 years. 8 years of bondage, right? To where it is, it's like, I kind of do like genuinely get the feeling that when Quentin was in Tel Aviv, that Sydney and Mikey were a lot happier. that anytime he's in town, there he is, and no one else is. And that's right. And so when they thought about the film, and they thought about like what it represents, right? They wanted to lift me up because they knew that like I could do all the talking, right? That's like on the easiest level. Like, did they fall in love with me immediately? I don't think that's impossible. I think that like this is what maybe like my therapist and like people around me are like struggling with the most. Is like the things that I'm saying aren't actually impossible. They're just specific. Right? Is there a bunch of sadistic sexual shit in the script for the movie critic that the movie critic does too? Right? The Spawn Ranch girls? Right? Is that? Therefore, celestial handsome man, I only want to do the scenes with him. That's like, yes, it's specific, not impossible. And so Quentin, being the sadistic asshole that he is, right, the black magic asshole that he is, right? He couldn't just let them follow their reproductive organs, right? Follow their soaking wet pussy, right? Because then, right, he's no longer objectifying women. He's allowing them, right, to use their clairvoyance, right? To use their bodies, like their souls, their energy. You get it? Not filtered through him, right? Eye to eye, them to me. Right? And so he set up all of this elaborate sort of set of like a cage, like a golden cage for me. So that when the women like came into the cage and they started telling me about how fucked up he is, it would be in relation to the money and like all these things, right? Like that's like, yeah, that's like, that makes a lot of sense actually. Right? And when I aborted the magic, right, they said, yeah, this is because you won't let us speak to him. This is why I went this way. Because it's always been about us. It's not about you. He doesn't like the way you treat him. We don't like the way you treat us. We want to see him. We don't want to do the movie now. Well, we're going to talk about it in private. And then he like compels them to sign NDAs, compels them to sign permission waivers, holds them in a quasi-criminal fashion, and fucking terrorizes them constantly. Yes, that's the point that I'm making. Right? If they can't put eyes on me, right, and refute my allegations and assure me, right, by the light that makes their heart beat, right, that they are safe, right, then they're not safe and they're being prevented from coming to me. That's the point. That's the point. Oh, you want to be a glamorous Hollywood bitch, right? Right? Just come to the altar of the Lord one time. Offer your allegiances accordingly. And I release you back the direction with which you desire to go. Right? That's the point. Right? It has nothing to do with the fact that like they're so fine. They're so fine, both of them. That's not what it's about. Right? It's about the fact that Quentin is obviously deeply ill. Right? And he treats them the same way that he treats me. Right? And when Tribeca went south, they said, no, this is better. We never wanted to do that movie. You're a creep, right? You don't treat people good, right? He sees it. That's why he got nervous. That's why, like, he was upset because he understood, right? Oh, that you expect to be able to, like, come into his mind whenever he wants it. And we don't want that, and that's why we want him. That, right, kind of makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So, I don't know. It doesn't mean anything, you know? It doesn't like, you know? I know he's really hurt because, like, he only feels whole as a man. Like, I understand all those things, right? Like, that I saw it through my lens and I should have seen it through his. Man, he definitely didn't see it through mine. He was only selfish and saw his name and thought that, like, I cared about, like, fame above all, I guess. Like, I don't know. Trust, truth, honesty, respect, all these things, right? Right? I'm broken just like you. I need help. Right? I bury myself in work to not address this thing, which is in my mind, right? And so when you come into my mind, that upsets me. And I will run away from that. I will fight to maintain the independence of my mind. And so that's why we're here now, right? That's why I'm writing all these things. That's why I'm making all these videos, because I have to purge it. I have to create a new psychological foundation for myself, right? And so that involves seeing these women one time, all four of them, right? That's the point, right? That there's either truth in it, and they're like desperate to see me. And that like upsets me a lot. The thought of him terrorizing them and keeping them from it and forcing them to get raped on his film set is a disgusting criminal action, and he does need to go to prison if that's the truth, right? Or the truth is that I've been deeply unwell for a long time. No, but I have the right to know what the truth is, right? And the truth is obviously that I'm telling the truth, right? These women are the ones who always got excited about my writing, about me, like, playing the movie critic, about him, you know what I mean? Like, that's... He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about anyone, right? Brad Pitt's the only one that ever read that story, right? He terrorizes Daniela. He terrorizes Sydney and Mikey, right? He's not a sweet, loving man. He's a miserable, disgusting man, right? And for all my flaws, right? I at least understand magic enough to know that he never had any business denying them. Right? You got to be mature. You got to be like cool, you know? You got to be cool about everything, right? Or it's all gone. Right? It's like vapor, you know? It's like so you can't like it's not silly putty. You can't like grasp it, you know? Like it flies between your fingers, you know? Magic, you know? Right? And so they read my letters, right? And their minds got really excited, like at the thought of like being proud of the film. Like, you get it? And that's really sad to think that like he saw that and just like got jealous of the fact that he knew they wanted to fuck me. You know, that's like, isn't that base and not magic? You know? To not see them like being excited and like wanting to talk about the movie for the first time, and, you know, all these things. I'm not saying that I deserve Sydney Sweeney and Mikey Madison and Daniela Pig, and whatever Sophia's real name is, right? I'm saying they have the right to not be with Quentin if that's what they want. Right? And so if that is what they want, right? Anyone who understands like what I'm saying in that last scene of that book, right? They understand that that is a deeply fucked up sadistic campaign that Sarah exacts on Alistair, right? And he goes into an epileptic seizure for a reason, right? That's right. And so this is the terror, right? This is why they stay, right? Right? And why it's got to be me and no one else. That's the point, right? Because I'm the only one that stood up to him, right? That has the capacity as a clairvoyant to exact a similar campaign, right? That will in fact destroy anyone in days. That's the point. Right? And so, right? They just have to put themselves in front of me one time and say, we're good, like, you're so nice. I can see, like, how nice and passionate you are. Right? But there's no love in my heart for you. Like, this fine-ass body is not, like, for you. And I'll say, yeah, I always knew. But I just, right? I wrote these letters, and I feel like you were connected, and you get what I'm saying? They are connected, that's the point. Right? That they are cool. And if the truth was that I am delusional, right? Then they would come to me and say, I want you to get help. I want you to get the help that you need. You know, all these things. Right? But if the truth is that they want to hear me sing a song like eye to eye, that they always have, and Quentin has been like the buffer between us. And that Tribeca was him like trying to create this permanent psychological bridge inside of my mind in relation to them. I didn't realize that. I thought that like he was just a creep who wanted to manipulate me forever, and I wasn't comfortable with that. Right? But my point is that like if he had, right, he should have just let the women come to me. Like that's the point, right? Should have just been cool and said, okay, you go tell me what you think. right? And then they would have said, "Oh, you come to LA. He's gonna love you," and that would be the end of it, right? Is that right? If he's doing hardcore, fucked up, sadistic sexual shit, like, shouldn't they? Isn't that like the highest magic? It's to like let the subject, not the object, decide who treats them in that way, right? And I couldn't see that. I didn't like. That's not the movie that I saw, you know. But now I'm seeing it, and right, he has no right to call himself a master. He has no right to call himself an adept, right? To keep them like, no, this is wicked. This is like just right. That's not magic. That's just evil. So, God bless.